Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be back.
It's, it's tough out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping up with all the AI news.
It really is.
But that's why, folks are turning into the Deep Dive.
Absolutely.
To really, get a grasp on what matters. And what's going to have the most impact on their lives.
For sure.
And this week, I got to tell you, it's been a wild one.
Has been a very busy week.
So for this deep dive, we've got a whole stack of articles.
Okay.
Analysis from industry experts.
All right.
Even tapped into some of the AI creator communities out there on YouTube.
Sounds good.
We're trying to figure out, what are the core developments that are going to really shape this industry going forward. So we're not just going to tell you what happened.
Right.
We're going to dig into why it matters.
Yeah, I think that's a key distinction.
Absolutely.
Just a fire hose of information, isn't that helpful? You need to be able to kind of sift through and say, all right, what are the things that are actually going to move the needle for me?
Exactly.
Or for my business, or for, the things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to try to do today.
Right.
It feels like we're at this really interesting point where you're seeing kind of a convergence of some really powerful trends. You've got the underlying power of the AI models themselves just continuing to increase. You've got the cost of compute coming down, which makes it more accessible to a wider range of people.
Right.
And then you've got this explosion of tools and applications that are making AI more usable and relevant to everyday tasks.
Yeah.
So it's not just this abstract research anymore. It's becoming something that people are interacting with on a daily basis.
So let's jump into it.
All right.
Let's start with Amazon.
Okay.
Big player
Huge.
in the tech space, obviously.
For sure.
But maybe not the first name you think of when you think cutting edge AI. But they just made a move that suggests they are serious about this next generation of AI interaction.
Okay.
They unveiled something called Nova Act.
Nova Act.
So
So what is that?
okay, so Nova Act just came out as a research preview.
Okay.
It's basically designed to be an AI agent.
All right.
Now, when we say AI agent, what does that really mean to someone?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to think about an AI agent is it's like a digital assistant,
Okay.
but it can go beyond just like answering questions or setting timers.
Right.
It can actually take actions on the web for you.
Okay.
So, instead of you having to go and like click through a bunch of websites to book a flight
Right.
or order groceries or whatever,
Uh-huh.
the AI agent could potentially handle all that for you.
So Nova Act, in particular, Amazon says it can control web browsers.
Right.
Do basic tasks online.
Okay, so that's kind of that agent paradigm we're talking about.
Exactly.
And they're clearly positioning this against some of the other players in the space. You've got OpenAI with their operator.
Right.
Anthropic has something called computer use.
Uh-huh.
So this is becoming like a hot area.
Yeah.
Different companies are trying to figure out, okay, how do we build AI agents
Yeah.
that can actually be useful and reliable for people?
So Amazon rolls this out as a research preview. They also released what they're calling the Nova Act SDK.
The SDK.
Yeah, what's an SDK?
That stands for Software Development Kit.
Oh, okay.
And basically what that means is
Yeah.
they're giving other developers the tools to start experimenting with Nova's capabilities and building their own applications on top of it.
So it's not just Amazon building stuff with Nova Act.
Right.
They're opening it up
Exactly.
to other developers to see what they can come up with.
Yeah, they want to kind of foster this ecosystem around their core technology.
And this is where it gets really interesting to me.
Okay.
Because you think about Amazon's reach. They've got Alexa devices in how many homes?
Millions.
Millions and millions of homes.
Tens of millions.
Exactly.
Maybe hundreds at this point.
So they've already got this massive distribution network.
Oh, sure.
They've said they're going to integrate this with Alexa plus A.
Okay, so they're going to tie it into their existing voice assistant platform.
Uh-huh.
That's huge.
Doesn't that give them like a really significant advantage
I think so.
compared to, say, like an OpenAI?
Yeah. I mean, OpenAI, they're building amazing AI models.
Right.
But they don't have that same kind of built-in audience.
Right.
They don't have that way to get it into people's homes
Yeah.
as seamlessly as Amazon potentially does.
And it's not just about getting it into homes.
Right.
It's about the type of interaction people are already used to with Alexa.
Right.
It's voice first.
Yeah.
It's conversational.
So that could give Nova Act a really unique kind of positioning compared to some of the other agents that are maybe more text-based.
Right.
Or GUI-based.
Now, these AI agents in general,
Yeah.
they're still pretty early.
Definitely early days.
There's challenges across the board.
a lot of challenges.
Making sure that they're reliable in all sorts of different situations.
Right.
That they can handle unexpected things.
Right, because the web is messy.
Yes, it is.
It's not a controlled environment.
Right.
So these agents have to be able to deal with a lot of variability.
And avoiding what some folks are calling non-human errors.
Non-human errors.
Right.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
It's like those weird quirks
Right.
where the AI does something that like a human would never do.
Right, like it misunderstands something in a way
Uh-huh.
that a human just wouldn't.
Yeah, so there's still work to be done there.
Oh yeah, a lot of work to be done.
But the fact that Amazon is getting into this game
Mm-hmm.
with their existing reach, that's a big deal.
I think so.
And one other thing I think is interesting about this, Nova Act is the first public product to come out of Amazon's San Francisco AGI lab.
AGI lab. Okay.
Yeah, that stands for Artificial General Intelligence.
Right, right.
So this is a lab specifically focused on.
Pushing the boundaries of AI.
Yes.
Toward, more general intelligence.
And it's being led by some pretty serious talent.
Oh yeah, like who?
David Luan and Peter Abil.
Oh wow.
They were both key researchers at OpenAI.
Okay, so they've poached some serious talent
They have.
from one of the leading AI labs.
And that to me really underscores Amazon's ambitions
Yeah,
in this realm of advanced AI.
they're not messing around.
They're not messing around.
They're bringing in the big guns.
All right, so we've talked about Amazon.
Okay.
Let's talk about another big player in the AI space.
All right.
OpenAI.
Okay.
They're known for their powerful models. GPT-3,
Right.
GPT-4,
Yeah.
DALL-E 2.
All closed source.
All closed source.
Right.
You can use them through their API. You can use them through ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But you can't just download the model.
Right.
You can't tinker with it.
Exactly.
You can't build your own stuff on top of it.
Right.
At least not directly.
So what's changed?
Well, OpenAI just announced they're going to release their first open language model
Really?
since GPT-2.
Wow, that's a big shift.
There's a big shift in strategy.
Yeah.
And they're being pretty transparent about
Oh
it.
yeah.
They launched a feedback form.
Okay.
They're asking developers, researchers,
Mm-hmm.
really anyone in the AI world
Right.
to help shape this upcoming model.
Interesting. So they're actively soliciting feedback
They are.
from the community before they even release it.
Yeah, they're saying, hey, we want to build something that's useful. Tell us what you need.
I like that approach.
Me too.
It's a much more collaborative approach than we've seen from them in the past.
And Sam Altman, their CEO,
Right.
he took to social media. So this model is going to have reasoning capability,
Reasoning capability.
similar to their O3 mini model.
Okay, so they're really emphasizing the reasoning aspect. What does that mean, though?
I think it means they're trying to build a model that goes beyond just pattern recognition,
Right.
beyond just generating text that sounds good. They want a model that can actually understand the meaning
Right.
of the text it's processing.
Okay, so deeper understanding.
Yes.
Not just surface level stuff.
Right.
Interesting.
And Altman also said that it's going to undergo pretty thorough pre-release testing.
Okay.
But they're also expecting that they're going to have to modify it after it's released.
Right. So they're acknowledging
Yes.
that it's not going to be perfect right out of the gate.
Right.
They're going to have to iterate based on real world usage.
Exactly.
And that's often what you see with open source projects,
Yeah.
is this constant kind of back and forth between the developers and the community
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to see this move
towards open models.
towards open
Yeah,
models
right.
as at least partially a response to the success of other open weight models.
Yeah. Like, what are some examples?
Well, Meta's Llama,
Right?
DeepSeek.
Mm-hmm.
These have been really popular with the developer community.
Yeah, they've taken off.
They've taken off.
I think Meta said Llama has been downloaded over 1 billion times,
Wow.
which is just mind-boggling.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So the open source ecosystem has really demonstrated that it can move incredibly fast and it can innovate.
And it can be very collaborative.
Exactly.
You get people from all over the world contributing to these projects.
Now, when we say open weight model,
Yeah.
for someone who's not a deep expert in AI,
Right.
what does that mean?
So generally, open weight means that the trained parameters of the AI model itself are made publicly available. So think of the model as like a vast network of connections and weights.
Right.
These weights are what determine how the model processes information. So making them open means anyone can download this pre-trained network and run it on their own computing infrastructure.
Okay.
Assuming they have the necessary hardware.
Right, you gotta have a pretty beefy computer.
Yeah, these models can be quite large.
Yeah.
But it also means developers can take this model and fine-tune it for specific tasks. Or even use it as a foundation to build entirely new models.
Okay, so it's like you're getting the blueprint for a very complex engine.
That's a good analogy.
You can take it apart, you can study it, you can modify it.
Right.
But you might not get the instructions on how to build that engine from scratch.
Exactly.
Or the specific fuel that it was originally designed to use.
So you get the model itself, but you might not get the massive data sets that were used to train it, or the specific code that was used for the training process.
So this OpenAI announcement, it's generated a lot of buzz online.
People are very excited.
People are excited. Some people are skeptical.
Some people are skeptical. Some people are saying, oh, this is amazing. We're finally going to get a really powerful open model.
Right.
From one of the leading AI labs.
Right.
Some people are hoping it's going to be like GPT-3 base. In terms of performance.
Right.
Then you've got other people who are like, wait a minute. This was announced on like March 31st.
Right.
April Fool's Day is coming up.
Right. Is this an April Fool's joke?
Is this an April Fool's joke?
I think the subsequent information suggests that it's not.
It seems like it's legit.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's always that little bit of doubt.
Right. Especially in the AI world.
Especially in the AI world.
Where things move so fast.
All right. Let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about visuals.
Visuals, okay.
Runway. Right.
Runway.
They're a company that's been making some waves in the AI video generation space. And they just unveiled their Gen 4 model.
Gen 4, okay.
And the early reports are suggesting some pretty big leaps forward.
In terms of the quality of AI-generated video?
Yes.
Interesting.
So what are they saying about it?
So the main thing they're touting is this idea of improved consistency.
Okay.
And realism in the generated videos. Specifically, they're saying they've made big strides in maintaining consistent characters, locations, even specific objects across multiple scenes.
Interesting, because that's always been one of the big challenges.
Absolutely.
With AI video.
Yeah, you'll have like one shot.
Right.
And the character looks one way. And then the next shot,
completely different.
It's a totally different person.
Yeah.
Like they've morphed into someone else.
It's really jarring.
It's very distracting.
Yeah.
So if they've actually solved that problem, that's a big deal. So they're claiming to have tackled that inconsistency issue. What else are they saying Gen 4 can do?
They're also talking about the ability to regenerate elements within a scene from different perspectives.
Oh, okay.
Without needing to be explicitly trained on those viewpoints.
So you could say, like, I want a shot of this character from behind.
Right.
And even though the AI hasn't seen that specific angle before,
right,
it can still generate it?
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
And what about lighting?
They're also emphasizing the ability to maintain character consistency even under varying lighting conditions by using reference images.
So you give it a picture of the character and say, I want them in a dimly lit room or I want them outside on a sunny day.
Exactly.
And the AI should be able to keep that character looking consistent.
In theory, yes.
Across all those different lighting conditions.
Right.
And this new model is available now.
It's available to both individual creators and enterprise clients.
Yeah.
So they're going after both markets.
So Runway is making some pretty bold claims here. But they're not the only ones in the AI video game.
Right.
OpenAI has been doing some stuff.
They have.
Google's been doing some stuff.
Right.
This is becoming a very competitive space.
It's heating up for sure.
So where does Runway fit in?
So they've been trying to differentiate themselves not just through the core technology, but also through key partnerships.
Like what kind of partnerships?
Well, they announced a collaboration with a major Hollywood studio.
Wow, okay.
Which is a pretty big deal.
That isn't a big deal.
And they've also been actively supporting and funding AI-generated film projects.
Interesting.
So they're really trying to kind of get their technology into the hands of creators and see what people can do with it.
And I've seen some reports that they've got some pretty ambitious goals.
Like what?
They're aiming for a $4 billion valuation.
Okay.
Significant revenue growth this year.
So they're swinging for the fences.
They are.
They're not being shy about their ambitions.
Now, it hasn't all been smooth sailing for Runway.
Oh, yeah.
There's that ongoing legal challenge
Right.
from some artists who say that their copyrighted artwork was used without permission to train Runway's models.
Right.
That's a pretty significant legal hurdle.
Absolutely.
And the outcome of that lawsuit could have really far-reaching implications.
For the whole field of AI.
For the whole field of AI training.
Yeah, because it gets into this question of what data is fair game
Right.
for training these models.
Yeah.
And if artists can successfully argue that, their copyrighted work can't be used without permission.
Right.
That could really change the landscape.
Runway's defense hinges on this principle of fair use,
For fair use.
which is a very complex legal doctrine.
Oh, yeah.
So this case is being closely watched by creators, AI developers,
Lawyers.
everyone.
Yeah.
We were also curious, what are people actually saying about Gen 4?
Right.
We found this really interesting YouTube channel
Okay.
that's focused on AI video creation tools. And they did a deep dive on Gen 4.
Okay.
And their initial impression seems to be that it's primarily focused on image to video generation.
Image to video, so you take a still image and you can turn it into a moving video.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the early consensus seems to be that the quality is definitely a step up.
From previous models.
Yes.
Okay.
They're saying the videos are more coherent, smoother motion.
But there are still quirks.
There are still quirks.
Right.
I love the example that this YouTuber used.
What was it?
They said, there's these slightly surreal roller skating monkeys
Roller skating monkeys.
that show up in some of the videos.
So it's not perfect.
It's not perfect.
Right.
It's still got those weird AI moments.
Right? Those moments where it's like, oh, that's not quite right.
Yeah, but the progress is undeniable.
Yeah, it's getting better all the time.
All right, let's move on to another really interesting development.
Okay.
xAI.
xAI.
The AI company founded by Elon Musk
Right.
has acquired X,
Yeah.
formerly known as Twitter,
Right, right.
in an all-stock deal.
All stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're essentially merging these two companies,
Right.
or at least bringing them under the same umbrella.
So Elon Musk's AI company is now going to own the social media platform.
Yes.
That's a pretty big deal.
It's a really big deal.
Yeah.
And the announcement was just made recently.
Okay.
And, Elon Musk himself,
Yeah.
he was pretty vocal about this.
What did he say?
He said that the futures of these two companies are intertwined.
Intertwined.
Yeah.
Okay.
He emphasized the strategic advantage of combining their data,
Right.
AI models,
Mm-hmm.
compute power,
Right.
distribution capabilities,
Okay.
talent.
So essentially he's saying these two companies are stronger together than they are apart.
And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense.
In what way?
X has this massive amount of user-generated content,
Right.
real-time data,
Mm-hmm.
conversations,
Yeah, it's a fire hose of information.
which is incredibly valuable for training AI models.
Right.
And then you've got xAI,
Mm-hmm.
which is developing, cutting-edge AI technologies
Right.
that could potentially be integrated directly into the X platform,
Right.
reaching its massive user base,
Which is what?
over 600 million active users.
600 million.
That's a huge audience.
Huge.
So this acquisition also kind of marks an interesting point in the trajectory of X.
Okay.
Since Musk acquired it in 2022,
Right.
it's had its ups and downs.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
The valuation has gone up and down.
It's been pretty volatile.
It has.
But this move suggests that maybe its primary value now is really seen through this lens of AI.
Okay, so it's not just a social media company anymore.
Right.
It's a piece of the AI puzzle.
It's a data source.
Right.
It's a distribution channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of these things.
Interesting.
And meanwhile, xAI itself
Yeah.
has been moving pretty quickly.
In what sense?
They just released their Grok 3 model in February.
Grok 3.
Grok 3.
Okay.
And it's supposedly performing on par with some of the leading AI systems out there.
Okay.
So they're making progress.
Mm-hmm.
On the AI front,
They are.
And this acquisition of X
Right.
really just kind of solidifies Musk's vision.
For this kind of integrated AI ecosystem.
Yeah,
It's like he's building his own little AI universe
he is.
with all the pieces he needs.
All right, so those are some of the big headline-grabbing developments.
Okay.
But there's also been a ton of other interesting stuff happening in the AI world.
Like what?
Google unveiled their Gemini 2.5 Pro experimental model.
Gemini 2.5 Pro experimental.
That's a mouthful,
It is a mouthful.
but it's a big deal.
Why?
They're saying it's a big step forward
Mm-hmm.
in their language model capabilities,
Okay.
particularly in reasoning.
Again, with the reasoning.
Reasoning is the hot topic right now.
It seems to be.
It's what everyone's chasing.
Hmm?
And they're also boasting about this massive context window.
Context window. Okay.
So initially it's 1 million tokens,
1 million tokens.
but they're planning to expand it to 2 million.
2 million. That's huge.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And for folks who don't know, tokens are basically like words.
Or parts of words.
Right.
So the larger the context window, the more the AI can remember
Mm-hmm.
and process at once.
Right, so it can have more coherent conversations.
Right.
It can understand longer pieces of text.
Exactly.
And this model has also reportedly topped the El Marina leaderboard.
A marina.
El Marina, which is basically a benchmark
Okay.
for evaluating how good these large language models are.
Okay, so it's performing very well.
It's performing very well.
On these standardized tests.
Yes.
Interesting.
Then we've got Microsoft.
Okay.
They've been expanding their security co-pilot platform
Security Copilot.
with the introduction of autonomous AI agents
Okay.
that are designed to handle a bunch of security-related tasks.
Like what kind of tasks?
Well, for example, they've got a phishing triage agent
Phishing triage agent.
that can analyze and process
Mm-hmm.
routine phishing alerts.
Right.